Greetings, everyone. This is Rockwell Spot Connection with a retro review of Bloody Christmas and Bloody Christmas. So, the original is a 1934 cult horror classic, one of the first slasher movies. It's great. It's really good. If you're a fan of horror movies and you have never watched, if you're a fan of slasher movies, well, okay, just horror movies in general, we'll just go and say it. If you're a fan of horror movies and you've never seen Black Christmas, do yourself a favor and watch it. The original. Alright, so the basic plot of both movies is that a sorority house is attacked by a killer at Christmas time. There's also a second remake coming this weekend. Quick takes on the 74 version is an underrated horror classic, and the 2006 version is a remake that really a really bad remake. I've seen worse, don't get me wrong, but I've also seen a lot better. Alright, so first off are the casts of note. For the 74 version, we've got Olivia Hussey as Jess Bradford. She's the protagonist and final girl of the movie. Keir Dullea as Peter Smythe, who's Jess's boyfriend. He's also a neurotic arts student. Margot Kidder as Barb Cord, who's the sorority's resident lush. John Saxon as Lieutenant Fuller, who's a local police officer investigating what's going on at the sorority house. Miriam Waldman as Mrs. McHenry, who's the house mother. Andrea Martin as Phil Carlson, who's another of the sorority sisters. And finally we have James Edmund as Mr. Harrison, who is the father of the film's first victim, Claire. So, moving on to the cast, and we'll do the cast note for the remake now. Alright, so we got Katie Cassidy, probably best known at this point for playing Laurel Lance on the CW Arrowverse shows as Kelly Presley. She is the protagonist and final girl. Michelle Trachtenberg is Melissa Kitt. She's one of the Delta Alpha Kappa sisters. She style-wise, she comes off as being akin to Barb from the original. However, she's not. And while she does drink, she's not a lush like Barb. So, yeah. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Heather Fitzgerald, who's another of the Delta Alpha Kappa sisters. Lacey Chabert as Dana Mathis, yet another of the sisters. She's perceived to be a daddy's girl by the rest of the girls, but she actually don't know more than she's given credit for knowing. Also, she doesn't get along well with her biological sister. We got Kristen Cloak as Lee Colvin, who's Claire's sister, briefly a Delta Alpha Kappa sister in the past. Andrea Martin, Phil, from the original, as Mrs. McHenry. She's, once again, the house mother. Crystal Lowe as Lauren Hannon, the resident lush. Oliver Hudson as Kyle Autry. Kelly's boyfriend. He's a local kid, and he knows the story behind the Delta Alpha Kappa house. Also, he's an asshole. We got Corinne Conoval as Constance Lenz, who's the mother of Billy and Agnes Lenz. Hates Billy because of his appearance. Dean Friss as Agnes Lenz, who's Constance's daughter, as well as Billy's half-sister and daughter. She has a tendency to gouge out eyeballs. Finally, we have Robert Mann as Billy Lenz. Cannibalistic murderer, grew up living in his family's attic. Has a rare condition giving him where his skin is yellow. It's not actually referred to as being jaundice in the movie, but yeah. I mean, like I said, his skin is like bright friggin' yellow. Um, Alright. So, what happens in the movie? Um, Basically, a the sorority gets phone calls, which heavy breathing, weird stuff being said, and shortly, and then in the original, Barb confronts the caller, who then threatens to kill her. And then Claire gives Barb some grief about it and goes upstairs to finish packing because she's leaving for Christmas vacation. While she's packing, however, someone comes out of her closet and suffocates her with a plastic dress bag, and then drags the dead body up to the attic. In fact, the image you see on the cover of the Blu-ray here, that's Claire. Anyway, so the next day, Claire's father arrives to pick her up, and everyone's like, "Wait, we thought you already did pick her up. We haven't seen her since last night." So the police get involved, and the police also start getting told, are also informed about the phone calls. Jess is also informed her boyfriend that she is pregnant, and well, he's not the best boyfriend in the world, so it's probably and given her situations, it's probably for the best if she has an abortion. But the police are told about the phone calls. There are more phone calls happen. One of them references an argument between Jess and Peter, which leads Lieutenant Fuller to think that perhaps Peter is behind the phone calls. If he knows about this, whoever the caller is, they know about this argument these two had. He said there wasn't anyone else around, so. But yeah, the girls. A local girl also disappears, but little by little, the rest of the sisters are killed off until it's down to Peter, Jess, and the killer. And the movie actually ends with the police killing Peter, thinking he's the killer. And then the house's phone rings. And that's where the movie ends. In the remake, everything with the cops is gone. Just start off there. So, we start off slightly different. The girls are getting ready for, they're doing the Delta Alpha Kappa Christmas party and, Secret Santa and all that fun stuff. And, oh, look, we even get it. We get a present every year for the murderer who used to live here. Ha ha. Claire's killed, suffocated with a garment bag again, and dragged up to the attic. One of the girls hears the noise in the attic, however, goes to look, and is also killed. There were a lot more victims this time around. Then Claire's sister shows up. Instead of it being Claire's father, it's Claire's sister, and she shows up that night. But the whole thing is that over Christmas, Claire, her sister, and her mother were all gonna get together and try and bury the hatchet. But so now they're wondering just what's happened to Claire, and they start looking around. trying to find her, and um, there's also, and of course, you get phone calls. Only this time, with it being more recent, one, you got caller ID, and two, one plot point is that I did neglect to mention from the original. The phone calls are revealed to be coming from inside the house. It's the classic trope from that bygone era. The caller's inside the house. Get out of there. Well, this time it's the early 2000s. Cell phones were becoming much more prominent by that point. So the idea of people having cell phones was not unheard of. Of course, it was still fairly common for people to have landlines, but that's besides the point. Anyway, little by little, everyone gets picked off. We have a very brief side plot where on Christmas Eve, Billy breaks out of the mental institution that he's in. But at the point that he does this, we've already had a few murders, so we know that Billy's not the only killer. Eventually, Kyle tells everybody that's left what happened in the house, and it is a insanely messed up tale. But yeah, one by one, eventually it's down to simply Lee? Yeah. Kelly and Lee. And they set the house on fire. And it seems like they managed to kill Agnes and Billy. Or at least they're going to die in the fire. So, but at the hospital, nope, they're not dead. And they both get loose. Agnes kills Lee. I would presume that Kelly kills Agnes with defibrillator. And depending on which ending you watch, Kelly either kills Billy or Billy escapes into the walls of the hospital. Okay, on to the ups and downs of the original. It's actually really well shot. There's some great creepy atmosphere to it, and the Christmas holiday works so well. You get a lot of just really great contrast with things. It's pretty well written as well. It could be better, but it manages to keep the tension of the story at just that right level. The ensemble in the original works so well off one another. So yeah, that's got that. The ending the ending is so great because it's not the usual, the killer's not really dead. No. The killer was never even presumed. The presumed killer is dead, but we know they're not the actual killer. We don't know who the killer is in the original, and what we do know at the end is they haven't been caught yet. On the downside, the characters could use a lot more fleshing out. Namely, the sorority sisters. Jess, Barb, Phil, they all could use some fleshing out. And, that's the biggest weak point of the movie, really. It's also, this is one of the first horror movies to actually do killer POV shots from the killer. I think there's some Italian horror movies that actually did that beforehand, but this is also one of the. This is a movie that actually influenced Halloween quite a bit. Now the ups and downs of the remake. Honestly, the remake has a pretty good cast, and there's a caveat to that I'll get to in a little bit. Um, Production design's also, it fits. Now, admittedly, you can watch it like, early mid 2000s. Okay, nope, I got you. The story editions also have the potential to be good. Now, speaking of potential, this movie has a ton of wasted potential. First off, the cast. The cast, they're all, they're you got a lot of talent, a lot of talent there, and they're given fuck all to work with. I mean, yes, you get a little bit of development, but you don't get any payoff to the development. For example, when Dana tells Lee, I'm not just the helpless daddy girl that everyone thinks I am. I know a few things. I know some stuff. It just leads her getting killed. That's all. She didn't do anything that validates that she really. Oh, she knew where the fuse box was. Okay, and then she got killed for trying to utilize it. Michelle Trachtenberg. Michelle Trachtenberg's great. I've loved her primarily since Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And, I mean, yeah, there's just so little for her to do in this. It was pointless to me to split Barb into two characters because she's basically, like I mentioned earlier, Michelle Trachtenberg has got Barb's style and wit, and I don't even Crystal Lowe, I believe. Yeah, and Crystal Lowe is the Lush. The story editions, those actually could have been decent. They really could have been. Yeah, I love the original doesn't say who the killer is. This one just tells you straight out. But it's made to rely just way too much on the shock factor of it. And yeah, it's not, yeah, no. I feel like a lot of the changes were made really just to see how gory they could make the movie and how much, how much extra TNA they could throw in, and the rest of the movie suffers for it. It really does. So, overall opinions and ratings, I guess. Opinion-wise, if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen Black Christmas in any way, shape, or form, watch the original, and unless you absolutely feel you need to, or you need to watch it, skip the remake, the '06 remake. I can't say one way or the other on the new one, but we'll have something to say about that in a few days. So yeah. Rating wise, the original, yeah, I gotta give it a 4 out of 5. It's a really solid flick. The remake, it's a 2 out of 5. I think I may have been a little charitable about that. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow night with the weekly comic book roundup. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is the Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.